In this episode, what would you do if someone handed you a checklist worth $500 million with a B, and it's in untapped business gaps in the country of Ghana? And then the person dared you that between now and 2030, grab your share of that big pie. What would you do? All right. If you're interested in that, this episode is just going to be about that. So I want you to stick around because this episode is going to reveal all the exact opportunities Ghana's own government and leaders of their banks, Development Bank, Exim Bank, the banks within Ghana, these are opportunities they have put on their bucket list that they need entrepreneurs to pursue, backed by tax incentives, cheap loans or super cheap or discounted loans, and many extra perks. And on top of it all, these are opportunities that have got customers waiting in line to buy. And to crown it all, 99.9% of the people, whether local or international, do not even know about this. So I hope you enjoy this video. All right, let's get in there. But before we do, I have a great report I would want you to download if you are interested, of course. This report is about acknowledging or knowing about the cultural intelligence that you need to know to do business in Africa. If you do not know this particularly, if you are a foreign investor and you want to do business in Africa, Africa has several different cultural nuances. And not knowing them could be a major Achilles heel for your investment. So our team put together a comprehensive report that shows all the regional cultural nuances that you need to know before you begin to make investment moves on the continent so that it doesn't come back to bite you. So if you're interested, download the report. The link is going to be in the description, or you're going to find a QR code somewhere on this screen that will point you to how you can get that report. It's free. So feel free to enjoy that report. It's very comprehensive. All right, let's get back into business. So this is as a result of a recent business forum, a very high-powered business forum that was put together by the government of Ghana just recently. This is very, very fresh. Recently, it was the business forum, and there was a lot of fanfare and glamour and things. But what we've done using all our analytical tools and everything, is to go deep into what was discussed and unearth the opportunities for you straight. So you don't have to go and sit and watch the entire business forum. That's almost like 6-7 hours, right? It's not necessary. We've done all the hard work for you, and we put our analytical cap to make it possible, to make it easier to understand, easy to follow. So let's jump right into it. So I would say this episode captures what I call the 6 hottest government priority areas to help you rake in millions in Ghana. And this is no joke. I'm super pumped up, super excited, because some of these opportunities just like, wow, this is amazing. My favorite is opportunity number 3, and I'm going to go through all of that. That's just my favorite. Yours may be number 1, number 2, number 4, number 5, 6, and what have you. So let's really drill. We're going to pick each opportunity, and we're just going to go step by step into every opportunity. I'm pulling my laptop so that you're going to see my screen, and it's going to be super fun, super inspiring. Let's go. So there are 6 hottest business opportunities in Ghana today, backed by government. To me, that is the magic bullet. I said there are tons and tons and tons of business opportunities everywhere. In Africa, it's everywhere. But I'm exclusively narrowing down to opportunities that the government is pursuing. It's like surfers. One of the things I'm no surfer, but living in America for quite a while. One of the places that you do surfing is California, San Diego, San Francisco areas. They are all very, very big surfing. And one of my former work colleagues who used to surf said, he told me that, hey, Isaac, this is how surfing works. You go with the rhythm of the waves. And a greater or the best surfing experience comes with the bigger waves, huge waves. So you wait and you ride that wave. In business, particularly in the context of business in Africa, most of the time, the bigger wave is government moves. Not just doing government contracts and things. Yes, you can do that, but it's not everybody who has a stomach for that because of all the corruption and things. But when you see a trend, particularly when it is backed by government, then it tells you the trend has so much power behind it. It's like the big, massive wave that the surfer needs for a fantastic surf. So the first on the list, as you can see, is what I call contract farming and processing of grains and oil seeds. This is one of the government's top priorities. I'm going to show you why. So let's jump right into it. So contract farming and processing of grains and oil seeds. So there's a quick overview of it. Why is this a great opportunity? The reason is this. Ghana imports approximately $120 million every year worth of importing just maize, or something called corn, maize and soy or soybeans for just two commodities, $420 million they import every year. It is not that Ghana doesn't grow these kind of crops on their own, but it's excess demand that is needed. And what is this demand needed for? What is it needed for? So just to put it in context, right? So it's a quick snapshot. So as you can see here, this is used to provide surplus supply into organizations, I would say organizations, into factories that does milling. So they do milling or processing of these grains into animal feed and other industrial use. These are big users or heavy users of maize and soy. And these plants or processing factories, they require 2.2 metric tons rather of maize on an annual basis. At the same time, they also need about 600 kilotons of soybeans to feed their families on an annual basis. Why? Because local supplies are short. Local supplies can barely touch even 65% of their needs. So they have to go out and import. And import means that they are, it's potential jobs that is gone out of the window. Import also means that Ghana's currency suffers. And if these can be produced locally, that means that current jobs are created. Number two, profits are kept in Ghana. And then number three, currency, Ghana's cedi stabilizes. Okay. So this is a huge opportunity. And government has a program called Feed the Industry. So as you can see over here, let me just pull my highlighter here. That's if it will work. Okay, it works. So government has a program called Feed the Industry program, right? And I'll talk a little bit about the Feed the Industry program a little bit, or into a much greater. So let's take a look at it. So the Feed the Industry program is very innovative program. Why? Government is throwing away literally $420 million $420 million importing maize and soybean. So what government is doing is that there's a place in Ghana after the Kwahu Forum called the Afram Plains. It's in the eastern region part of the eastern region part of Ghana, which is very, very rich in mineral. The soil is very rich, and they demarcated that as kind of a free zones area for industrial agriculture. So there's a ton of incentives that government is throwing at this, and it is scary. But I'm good. Before we even jump into all the incentives and everything, I'm just going to unpack what are the areas that, as an entrepreneur, as a businessman, you can look at. What entry points can you have in the area of this government program about maize and soy production? Okay, so the first one is having a cluster nucleus of farms, right? Having cluster nucleus of farms that produces maize and or soybeans. And the government initiative, as I'm going to show you, is an initiative that the government says that if you develop a farm, right, of 1,000 hectares, 1,000 hectares worth of farm, 1,000 hectares, let me put it that way, period. 1,000 hectare farm, you qualify for government incentive. Okay, you qualify for a huge government incentive, and I'm going to break it down. And some of the incentives are packaged as 5-year tax holidays. And some of them are talking about duty-free, blah, blah, blah. We'll talk about that too. So let's unpack it slowly. So the farm, if you're doing a 1,000 hectare farm, is a nucleus farm. Or you can put together an aggregation of little smallholder farmers, train them, and give them the seeds, and let them plant for you. And if the aggregation equals 1,000 hectares of land, you also qualify for these government incentives that we're going to be talking about. Okay, so the opportunity is about anyone can jump into whether you want to create a cluster farm where they grow soybean and or maize. And then there's also opportunity for mobile mechanical pressing of soy and sunflower. So mobile mechanical pressing. So that's let me change my okay. Let me change this. So here that's mobile mechanical pressing. So basically, it's a truck that at the back is mounted a mechanical presser, so that when the soybean is harvested, this mechanical equipment can go to the farm. It won't wait for the plant or the harvest for it to be harvested and transported to the city before it is produced. This one is a mechanical harvester. It's mobile, so they take it to the farm. The moment it is harvested, they start pressing the soybean right there on the farm, so that they'll be able to extract the soy oil, or maybe sunflower. You can extract the sunflower oil, and then that oil is taken out into the companies that does these oil refineries for whether it's cooking oil or oil for edible oils, different edible oils. And then the cake that is left, that's like the waste, is also taken and sold to the feed mills. And I've put together the startup budget for that. So startup budget for cluster farming, roughly about 400. And it's and everything. And you're going to see the government incentives to make this thing worth the while. It's going to be overly worth the while. Okay. Then the third opportunity is basically, so there are three things. The first one is the cluster, putting together the farm itself, having all the irrigation equipment and everything. And the government is actually going to lease you the land anyway in Afram Place. Then the next one, as I said, was the mobile mechanical presser. Then the third one is putting together some kind of a trading platform, a trading app, whereby you put together like a marketplace of buyers and sellers of grain in Ghana. Then you basically you're a marketplace, or you are the one who's like basically like kind of a broker. So you identify the farmers, you buy their fresh produce. Immediately the corn or the soybeans are harvested, or before they are harvested, they alert you via the app that, hey, I have, let's say, half a ton of maize that I'm about to harvest in the next 6 weeks. I have three-quarters of a ton of soybeans waiting to be harvested in the next 8 weeks. And so you have all of that, and then you find the financing to pay them upfront to get that. Then you get that, you store them in your warehousing, you dry them, you do what you process them, whatever it is, and then you sell them to the feed mill. And then so you have it's kind of a digital play here. So you are more or less like a trader. You are turning around money. You providing liquidity or money to the farmers quickly so that they can keep farming, and you take their goods off their hands, and then you become the middleman to sell to these people. So let's look at the details. The details. I'll say they tell what the devil is in the detail, right? All right. So one of the things that, okay, let's look at the detail before I jump. I'm too excited about this, so it's like jumping around, but it's fun. So the detail is this. I'm looking at my screen right now. So the 5-year tax holiday, this is how it works. It works like this. Organizations that meet the criteria for this, they feed the industry program. For the first 5 years of your farm, you pay zero corporate tax. And to put it in context for you, in Ghana, corporation tax is typically around 25%. So it's hefty. So if you make a profit of 1 million Ghana cedis, you pay 250,000 Ghana cedis as tax to the government. Government is saying that if you join this program and you make money for the first 5 years, pay zero tax. That is great. Number two, if you import, right? Okay, let's go back here. That's the incentives, right? Yes, that's it. So if you import anything, whether it's seeds or irrigation equipment and all those kind of things, it's also import tax free, or I would say you pay zero import tax on every kind of mechanical input that goes into such a farming venture. That saves you another probably 15 to 25% of your startup costs, because import payment in Ghana is very, very high. That's number three. And let's talk about who qualifies. I've already spoken about it, but let's take it in clearer detail. So you ought to have 1,000 hectares of land, farmland, that you are farming these two products. That's 1,000 hectares. Okay. Or you put together an outgrower scheme. That's what I call the aggregation of smallholder farmers, who you train, provide them with the seeds and the equipment. Remember, the seeds that you will be importing or the equipment that you'll be importing are all import tax or import duty free. So that's just one of the these are the top level, I would say, incentives that you're getting. All right. Then we are coming to the financial side, the financial, the funding incentives as well. And that's what you're seeing on the screen right now. So the first incentive is, and it's incredible, is an Exim Bank facility that you could have access to. An Exim Bank is Export Import Bank of Ghana. Every country on earth has an Exim Bank. And Africa even has an overarching Exim Bank called the AfricaInsights.ai. But this is the Ghana Exim Bank. So the Ghana Exim Bank, which has a special pot of cash. Special pot of cash that they put together for companies that go into turning crops into finished food or animal feed. There's this special pot of cash available for you. And that special pot of cash, the terms are very simple. a 24 to 60-month loan that they can give you at 10% interest per annum, with 10% interest per annum with 2-year grace period. 2-year grace period means that for the first 2 years of they lending you that money, this 2-year grace period, for the first 2 years of you taking that money, you don't pay the principal, you only pay the interest. That's it. So that you can focus on putting all your money back into the business to build the business. That's a huge thing. And even then, after 2 years, you pay 10% per annum, which is reasonable because some of the loans, some of the commercial loans in Ghana are very, very expensive. Some over 25%, 30% and up. But this one is 10% per annum. All right. Okay. Then the next one is the Development Bank of Ghana. DBG stands for the Development Bank of Ghana. I just shortened it for space simplicity, right? So they are giving a long-term loan of 7 to 10 years. Long-term loan, 7 to 10 years. And the payback period to me is fantastic, especially if you are putting together like storage silos and things. This is the kind of financing that you need, and it is being handled by Development Bank of Ghana. And this is what it does is it provides partial guarantee as well for grain warehouses. So what it means, what partial guarantee in this context means is that if you went and took that loan, and as an entrepreneur, something happened and you were to default on that loan, Development Bank would cover a portion of the losses, right? Development Bank will cover a portion of the losses so that the lending institution or the lending bank will not be overly exposed to the risk. What does all this mean? What it means is that the government of Ghana, through Development Bank of Ghana, is making it less riskier for commercial banks to lend you money to build silos for grains. Simple as that. Okay. And then the third incentive here is a 5-year corporate tax rebate. If 70% of your output goes to the local industry, very simple. This is what it means. So Ghana's normal corporate tax is 25%. So what this incentive rule says is that if at least you sell 70% of your produce, right, to local factories or local farmers. Let's say you've grown 3 tons of maize and you sold 70% of the 3 tons of maize to maybe a local milling factory or a local animal feed factory, whatever it is, a local industry. When you do that, you qualify for a rebate, a tax rebate, which will last for 5 years, right? That means you will not pay tax for the next 5 years if you feed the local industry with your produce. That is amazing. All right. Obviously, for every business, there's going to be some level of risk. And for me, the major risk I saw with this is because you are selling to local industries who are used to lower prices for their inputs, because sometimes the corn that they import into the country are not their corn or soybeans that is in excess capacity in their originating country. So let's say if you are importing soybeans from America, it could be that it's just the US government that has had soybean in their storage facility for like 50 years that they want to just get rid of. So they sell it at rock bottom price, actually below cost. And when they come into places like Ghana, it's like local farmers cannot compete with that price, right? So sometimes it causes price levels to dip down. I know government of Ghana has plans for those kind of things, like we call them dumping. Ghana government is actually fighting putting in place measures to discourage dumping in Ghana, so as to help local industry. So price sensitivity is an issue that you may have to watch. So you need to negotiate very well with the factories or the milling factories and what have you. And for me, one of the things I see is that why not have your own farm, and also create a milling factory as well, so that you get the best of both worlds. You get all the government incentives with producing the corn and just sell it to your own mill, because there's demand for feed for animal feed in Ghana, to the point that Ghana imports a lot of animal feed. So there is customers left, right, and center. So if you have the resources, so for me, the strategy would be to create the farm, leverage these government incentives, and then create your own factory, feast of the farm, best of both worlds. And then there's also, I see a little bit about first mile logistics that can be expensive. But it all, the first mile logistics that can be expensive, meaning that as you harvested and you want to move your crops, the first mile is typically the most expensive in terms of transportation, because from the farm to where the factory is, the road may be very bad or unmotorable. Therefore, it costs more to transport it at the first mile. But what if you had your farm and you had your factory at the same place? You eliminate that kind of risk. All right. So basically, that is the first opportunity. That is the first opportunity. And I just want to give you, those who are interested in this, there's a quick action step that you can take today. So you can go to the Ministry of Trade and Industry, and on their website, you can search for their outgrower deed template. That is, if you want to understand the outgrower system and the incentives that are there for that Ministry of Trade and Industry, they have that. You go in there, you download that PDF, you study it as part of your due diligence, and you'll be good to go, to be able to identify where the small scale farmers are, that you can be able to find them, the training that will be required, and all the nitty gritty, right? Okay, so that's the first one. Then the second one is, you got to pre-register with the Ghana Commodity Exchange, GCX, for warehouse receipt. Basically, Ghana Commodity Exchange is basically government's own safe marketplace where grains are weighed, graded, and traded. So basically, they are doing the work to make it easier for big companies, big producers, big manufacturers, I would say manufacturers, big mills, to be able to easily find where to get grains, right? And to have the confidence and assurance that the kind of grain that they are buying is of the highest quality, or at least they know the level of quality that is, because they will grade the grains, right? So if you are interested in this area, you are definitely going to need to work with this Ghana GCX, which is the Ghana Commodity Exchange. You definitely, so pre-register with the Ghana Commodity Exchange to with the ultimate aim that when your crops are done and they are harvested, you will need to be issued with a warehouse receipt, so that with that warehouse receipt, you can even use that to get funding from a bank, or investment from an investor, because it means that you are certified that you have the grain has been stored in the right place, and it's of excellent or whatever quality it is, right? Then, if you're interested, also there's also an Exim Bank, Exim Bank kind of a project that is going on. Basically, Exim Bank is handing out special low interest loans that we discussed here. And in 2025, the deadline is July 15th. So, if something, you can visit Ghana Exim Bank and get more information from them. This is hot cake, right? Get more information from them about the Feed the Industry program. So there you go about the first opportunity. The second opportunity that I'm also excited about is the apparel and textiles for export. Apparel and textiles for export. But before we go in there, once again, we have this report called the African Advantage, that if you are interested in doing business in Africa, or you are interested in market entry as it relates to Africa, or investment in Africa, This is the kind of report that you need, because many investors make the mistake thinking that, oh, I found the right opportunity, we have all the ingredients in place, let's just go. It doesn't work like that in Africa, because there are a lot of cultural nuances that every investor or market that or every company that seeks to enter African market needs to know the cultural nuances, the do's and the don'ts that you need. And thankfully, we have put together a report, a regional cluster, cultural cluster report, so that when you pick a region, you know the cultural nuances that pertains there. And you'll be surprised that Africa is very different, even at regional level. And we put together that report for you to be able to find the roadmaps and also be able to see where to start, where not to start, and all those kind of things in terms of a cultural roadmap. So if you are interested, you can download the report in the description, or you'll find it as a QR code on this screen somewhere. All right, let's get into number two. The number two, apparel and textiles for exports. This is also a huge opportunity. Okay, so this is all about small. This opportunity is about creating, let's say, small, like 50 to 300 kind of tailoring shop or garment manufacturing. In terms of investment, think about that. Anywhere between 50 workers to about 300, that is where the sweet spot of this opportunity is. And the incentives, government incentives, are also packed in there. Why is this opportunity fantastic, right? So, as there are some players already in this sector, garment manufacturing in Ghana. Two of them are DRT and Evota Garments. Organization or companies exported 46 million worth of products in the year 2024. But currently, this is sad and this is fantastic at the same time. They exported $46 million in 2024. But the current capacity or the demand for Ghana garments or that sector, the demand that comes through Ghana Export Promotion Authority every year, the demand alone, and the kind of supply that these two companies and maybe other smaller ones are doing only scratches the surface. They satisfy less than 10% of the demand that GEPA, that is Ghana Export Promotion Authority, receives on an annual basis. They satisfy just under 10%. So that means there's a huge gap of close to 90%. That means there are international buyers that are interested in sourcing produced garments from Ghana. But Ghana's capacity is only able to supply less than 10%. What a disservice. And what an opportunity. So that is where you come in. All right. So what happens is that, when we talk of the capacity being low, that it doesn't get any worse than just being able to meet 10% or less than 10%, right? Okay. So let's look at this snapshot clearly. So in terms of incentives or in terms of trying to expand the capacity, AfricaInsights Bank, which is I would say the largest import bank, the largest, I would say, development bank also in Africa. I don't know, maybe. I think AfricaInsights Bank and Africa Development Bank, they play very unique roles, but AfricaInsights Bank helps a lot building the capacity for local industries to export, right? So the AfricaInsights Bank, together with some other banks, right? That's the Exim Bank of Ghana, and then DBG, the Development Bank of Ghana, syndicated a loan. That simply means they pulled together a loan of $60 million in 2024 because they saw this. They saw it was painful. 90% of business is being lost because of small capacity. So they put together this $60 million in 2024 to expand 3 mega garment factories in Ghana. Each factory has the ability to hire 3,000 workers, right? Every shift. Every shift is important because Ghana government is talking about doing a 24-hour economy. So if a shift is 12 hours and they're doing a 24-hour economy, that means that each factory could do 6,000 workers per day, which is fantastic. And there are 3 of them that have received this injection to expand this garment. They call them mega factories, right? So these mega factories, not only are they going to be serving these 2 garment factories and the others or the other smaller ones, but there's also room for other SMEs to come and rent or lease spaces in these mega garment factories to be able to make money. And how is that going to be happening, right? How's that going to be happening? It's going to be very, very, very straightforward. And this is what is going to happen. So there are opportunities in what we call the cut, make, and trim specialists or specialties. So basically, opportunities, think of it in terms of you are a subcontractor to a major contractor. So you set up your 50 to 300 machine line to support spillover work from the major factories. So the major factories may have, let's say, 3,000 lines. But the thing is, many a times they have so much work that they would need subcontractors or sub-factories to do some work for them, including, cutting fabrics, sewing fabrics, and finishing edges. So they've done all the big ones. Then they need to ship those to other units to do the finishing work for them. That is an opportunity. Okay. Then the other one is, trains and packages and wearable tech inserts, RFID labels. When you go to supermarket, not supermarket they say, but like big clothing retail shops in Europe and America and things, they have all these RFID tags at the back that when you are going to pay for checkout, they put in the around the scanner and then it makes some noise. Then they pull that RFID tag out. So they need smaller SME companies that can be able to do that because the core job of that big factory is to make the garment in massive numbers, right? We talked about the capacity, make it massive numbers, but they'll be wasting their time if all they are doing it, if they are inserting RFID tags into that's not their core competency. That's where they need other SMEs to come in to put in those kind of things, put in zippers and velcros and all those kind of things there, right? And then circular fashion is also a trending industry where they do recycle. So after, let's say they've done a production run of, let's say, 50,000 jerseys for the soccer, whatever it is, a sports shop in the UK or whatever it is, there will be a lot of trains and cuts that are unusable anymore. You don't want to put that in the trash can and go and trash it or put it somewhere in the dump yard. No, that's not a very good way of disposing. So for sustainability and environment purposes, those things can be recycled, shredded, and whatever together with paper and pulp and whatever it is, and turned into other materials that will bring money. So all those things are recycled. They use it for home insulation and all those kind of things. So that is also a very good opportunity. Very, very good opportunity here. And let's jump right into the incentives for this one. So the incentives for this one is fantastic as well. So the first one is there's a freeze, what do you call it? 0% VAT. 0% VAT for this kind of free zone regime. So basically, they're creating this garment free zone, right? And as you operate within that garment free zone, which includes those 3 mega factories that AfricaInsights Bank and the other banks funded to expand. all those places are free zones. So when you go and rent a space in there, it's a free zone. And free zones, the advantage of free zones is that they attract, you pay lesser tax than your competitors that operate outside the free zone. Because guess what? Guess what? The main purpose of free zone is that when you produce the item, they get exported outside the country for the country to earn foreign exchange. So the perks are plenty. So first, that you pay no value added tax if you are in that free zone doing garment manufacturing. No VAT. You don't pay. In Ghana, VAT is quite high. I think the last time I checked was 17.5% plus some, other small charges that could take you way to like 20%, if I'm not mistaken. So no VAT. Number two, you only pay for the first 10 years. For the first 10 years, as you set up that factory, you only pay you only pay for the first 10 years, For the first 10 years, you pay zero corporate income tax as well on your profit, which is super. Zero corporate income tax. Then after that, after your first 10 years, you only pay 8% corporate tax. It doesn't get any better than that. So you pay zero income tax for the first 10 years. You also pay zero VAT forever. Zero income tax first 10 years, then 8% corporation tax for the next, after the 10 years, right? Okay. Then when you export, let's say shirts or jerseys or whatever it is to France, England, wherever you export, what happens is that typically you first ship the goods, right? You first ship the goods gets to the port, they get shipped, and then weeks later you get paid. Typically, let's say 90 days or 60 days. So what if the buyer never pays? What if you get an unscrupulous buyer who screws you up, never pays? That's what GEPA and export credit comes in handy. So they are saying that they offer an insurance policy as well to help protect you. So they say that if that were to happen to you, the government will reimburse you up to 80% of the money your foreign buyers fail to pay. So that gives you comfort. That gives you the needed, comfort that, oh man, should in case anything bad happens, I'm going to be cool. But typically that really, really is rare. It's rare. It can happen, but it's very, very rare. Then there's also another perk. That is skills grants for hiring female operators. If your garment factory, you were to train and hire female operators or managers to manage some of your machines and that kind of thing, a portion of their salary, okay, a portion of their salary or pay or wages in some countries, as they call it, will be paid by a World Bank body called GARID, GARID. They will pick up the tab of a huge portion of the wages of your female employees that you bring in. That brings your payroll or your wage bill significantly down. All right. Again, for every opportunity, there are risks. The risk here is power cuts. Sometimes, these days, the power stability in Ghana is great. It's okay. But you get a usual here and there. And that could be when there's a deadline for you to submit, production and the power is off. That's a risk you have to think about. So to mitigate that, you're thinking of getting a rooftop solar power system or whatever it is to help augment whatever you're doing. And also that also brings an incentive for all these parks and for other investors to find a space to produce alternative power for garment industry in Ghana because it's supported by government big time. Then the other risk is that compliance is going to be high because you are sending it to European Union and you have to cross every T and dot every I, or else they will return your goods and you get no pay. So a quick start, some of the practical things that are happening right now is there's going to be a summit in Accra. It's called the Accra Apparel Summit in September 2025. You can book a stall now so that you can be a part of this, get to know the movers and the shakers, get to network basically, right? And then you can enroll your supervisors in a training program designed and run by Ministry of Trade and Industry, and then the GIZ, I think is the development aid arm of the German government, that they run training programs for your supervisors and leaders within your garment manufacturing sector, right? And then you can, if you are ready or you're already in the garment sector already, it's best to start talking to Ghana Standards Authority right now for them to give you a seal of, they call it the green factory seal. They come and check whether your factory meets the sustainability mark and those kind of things, and you give it a seal. That could give you extra funding from places like EU and things who are very, very much into environment and green energy and those kind of things. So those are some of the things that you're going to be finding. Then the third one, let's jump to number three. Number three is my hot favorite: component manufacturing, auto and light engineering. Auto and light engineering. All right. So this is to me, this is a huge opportunity of epic proportions. Guess what? There are a lot of auto manufacturers that have moved to Ghana. At least I know of Toyota, I know of VW, Volkswagen, I know of Nissan. There are a ton of others. There are also some Chinese automakers that have put up assembly plants, and they are coming plenty. Some of them are trucks, some of them are motorbikes or tricycles. What have you? The automotive industry in Ghana is growing rapidly. So there is this requirement that is just coming. So actually, as I said, there are all these auto manufacturers, they are coming massively, which is great. But there's this requirement, right, that the government has put in place that's supposed to kick in 2028. Remember, many decades ago, when governments introduced a law to make it compulsory for anyone who drives a motor vehicle to have a vehicle insurance. This is almost similar to that. What happened is that companies that sell car insurance, they had business boom overnight because of one legislation. Because it's a government requirement. I like those kind of businesses. Because it's like your customer volume is guaranteed, because everyone needs to check that box or else they'll be in trouble with the government. It's the same here. So the government of Ghana is saying that by 2028, all these assembling companies like VW, Nissan, Toyota, even the local ones, Kantanka and the rest, they will need to spend at least $600 million worth of local parts annually. They need to source parts locally in Ghana to the tune of $600 million by 2028. This will help meet the rule, there's a 40% rule. That means that for all the parts that you use of the cars that are produced in Ghana, 40% of the components must be made in Ghana. Simple. And guess what? That opens a slew of opportunities. So if you are an OEM manufacturer somewhere in any part of the world, Ghana is hot for you. You can set up shop in Ghana to produce vehicle parts to meet this 40% quota. As long as your factory is based in Ghana, you are manufacturing everything in Ghana. Yes, you may source your raw materials from your home country, whatever it is. So if you know people who know other people, especially those in and around the states, for instance, people around Detroit, Michigan, Detroit area, Wisconsin, those areas, Pennsylvania areas, Ghana is open for them. It's an opportunity for vehicle parts. And let's look at not just vehicle parts, but we're also talking about Government, I'll talk about this later, about electronic vehicles, also another area uh, altogether, right? So when we're talking about the parts, right? What kind of parts are we looking at? So what kind of entry points are we looking at for Ghana or for local indigenous business people? The lowest hanging fruit is production of rubber and plastic moldings. For instance, bumpers and washer tanks and all those that dashboard trims. Those are low hanging fruits that local companies can position themselves to jump into this area, right? Then the next piece is wire harnesses, and the rest, because that one is intuitive, kind of labor intensive, right? So putting together all the electrical wires, the bunch of wires that connects the computers. They call the motherboard or the computer of the car to engine parts, to be able to pick up, when there's a fault and all those, these big bunch cables. Somebody needs to put all those wires, the different colors together, right? It's putting all those kind of wires together. This is something a local company can do to help support the automotive industry, right? So, and then when it comes to the electronic vehicle side, there are battery packs and battery casings and cooling plates and things that are needed for electric vehicle, the electric vehicle subcategory within the automotive industry. So there's a huge opportunity here because your customers are there and the law requires that they buy from you. You don't even going to spend any money on marketing. All you need to do is do it to their taste, to their quality level, and that's it. You have business. This to me is my best opportunity, if I will put it, to put it lightly. Right? Okay, so let's look at the incentives. This incentive is big. The government is putting together, will give you free 10-acre plots in the Pong Auto Supply Park area. So free 10 acres of a plot the government will give to you to be able to put together an auto parts manufacturing or assembly facility in that enclave, right? And not only that, the government has a ton of incentives as well, right? Now I'm going to jump right into it. Okay, so um, let's look at the incentives. Okay, so the incentives, very simply, yes, the government is going to give that 10 acres of land for free if you promise to build a parts factory. So to do that, submit an application at Ghana Investment Promotion, GIPC, Ghana Investment Promotion, whether it's commission or something like that. I'll put the links to their website in the description so that you don't feel lost. So reach out to GIPC, inquire about this automotive project, and then there will be that opportunity for you. So Afrexim Bank, second is that Afrexim Bank, okay, which is Africa's export and import bank, is ready to line up for you up to 50 million US dollars to serious car parts projects. So if you have a serious car parts project, you can also reach out to Afrexim Bank to start talking about a capex loan to be able to set up your plan, set up your machinery and everything in preparation for this. And so that opportunity is there. Then there's this skills pipeline incentive, right? The skill pipeline incentive that is government's pot of money to boost science, technology, and engineering and vocational education. So it means if you hire 20 graduates, young graduates, as apprentices within or technicians, let's say managing your robots or welding parts or whatever it is, mechanics, whatever it is, the government will fund half of their monthly wages for the first 1 to 2 years. The government will pay 50% the apprenticeship wages, which comes in handy for a new startup venture, right? The main risks for each of the opportunities, we're talking about risk. But the main risk for this opportunity is simple currency swings on raw materials. So if you price your products in dollars, you are not exposed. But thankfully, the CD is not performing bad at all. And I hope it stays that way. But you can hedge or your risk by pricing your goods in US dollars, right? And then the second risk is the OEM volume uncertainty. Very simple. Let's say the original equipment manufacturers, like the main brands, Toyota, Nissan, VW, they are the OEM manufacturers, right? So they have been tasked with buying from you. So what if demand for their products tanks? That means your production levels will tank with them as well. It's quite unlikely, but it's possible. So what you can do is diversify into aftermarket space as well. So you are not just manufacturing for Toyota plant in Ghana, but you are manufacturing for the second-hand dealers at, there's a place in Ghana called Aboseokai, right, in Accra, where anything you need about a car, that's where you go. It's a huge old industrial place in Accra. That's the heart of Accra that you go to get all your vehicle parts. They will be your customers, right? They will be your secondary customers. And then in Kumasi, there's a place called Magazine that's the same thing. You diversify into market space. And then you also diversify into two-wheeler parts. What stops you from creating parts for those who are making electronic scooters? If you are making number plates for them, for cars, you can make number plates for scooters. If you are making tires for cars, you can make tires for scooters too. So if the OEMs the volume goes down, your business doesn't tank with them as well. Okay, so basically that is that. Now let's look at quick start. I always look at bringing you the quick start so that you can take advantage of these opportunities very, very, very fast. I'm just flicking my fingers like that. That's an expression of make it fast, right? Okay, so the first thing is that you go to download the OEM pass list from Automotive Association of Ghana. Google them, Automotive Association of Ghana. Go to their website, Google, and download the parts. So these OEMs have already given them all the list of the parts that they will need by 2028. So go download that list very quick so that you know what you need to do, which part of the opportunity you can play. Then you can book a plant audit by Toyota. By a plant audit, Toyota would visit your facility, come and check, certify it, and give you a certificate that you are ready. Your certificate of readiness is going to be released to you, and you are ready to be an authorized supplier for Toyota. And I guess the other OEMs will have a similar plans or projects like that. Then, most important thing, you don't have to forget about it. Go and file with GIPC, Ghana Investment Promotion Center, Ghana Investment. So go and file with Ghana's GIPC for strategic investor status. That is what allows you to fast track all the permits that are needed. And at that government forum, they promised that they will fast track everything you need in under 21 days. So hold their feet to the fire. You can show them this video that they said at the forum, GIPC, that once you get the strategic investor status, your permits, including work permits for your overseas staff and all that, environmental permits and this and that permit will be fast tracked. All of them done in less than 3 weeks, under 21 days. They will do that for you. So you don't have big issue. The next one, which is also a fantastic opportunity, is diaspora-driven tourism and mid-scale hospitality. Let's unpack that. This is also an amazing, fantastic opportunity. The issue is that Ghana, because of the year of return, that the previous government put, to me, I think it's one of the best things they did to put Ghana on the map, attracted so many foreign visitors, particularly our brothers and sisters in the diaspora who were looking for a connection, right? I would say back to their roots kind of connection. It was a phenomenal success. So right after that is the beyond the return. So what Ghana has been seeing is that in the year 2023 alone, Ghana saw over 1 million arrivals, and they spent $3 billion in 2023. Can you imagine that? $3 billion in tourism spending alone from the diaspora, right? So this now becomes a huge opportunity because Ghana represents a rich cultural heritage site for our brothers and sisters in the diaspora. But here's the kicker. The kicker is that these diasporans come in, they spend an average 11 days, they spend a ton. To me, they spend a ton of money. So when you combine the hotel, the feeding and things, they are spending more than $1,000 a day coming to Ghana. And the nightlife and this, that, food, clothing they buy, they spend money. They stay for just, 10, under 2 weeks, but they spend a lot of money, right? But the kicker is here. The Ghana Tourism Authority says that there's a shortfall of 7,200 keys or 7,200 rooms in mid-scale hotels outside Greater Accra. 200 mid-scale hotels, and that is where the opportunity is. So the opportunity is building boutique diaspora lodges with about 30 to 60 rooms in and around Cape Coast, Kumasi, linking ancestral linking places that they can go for ancestral tours. For me, I would even take it a step further. Not only in Kumasi, Cape Coast, and Kumasi, yes, those are the traditional heritage sites, but there are towns, adjoining towns in and around the Kumasi, in and around Cape Coast, not even inside Cape Coast itself, in and around those kind of vicinity where land is cheaper to buy. So maybe a place that is just like 15 miles outside the heart of Kumasi or 20 miles outside the heart of Cape Coast. But it's a cool, cozy place, maybe 30 rooms. It has all the amenities, it has internet, it has some nice pool, something homey, live internet, live, good scenery and everything. And then you package that, right? So that is one opportunity. The other one is more like experiential tour brands, right? So it's not basically building the lodges or building the hotel, but basically like packaging together an experience. So you can package together a music art experience and sell that package. So that package will include their lodging, their feeding, the experience you're going to be giving to them for the next 10 days or whatever it is. And after that experience is exhausted, then they can go fly back home. So you're giving a complete end-to-end. So think about it in terms of a theme. So whether it's music theme or art theme or ancestral theme, or it could be even fashion and clothing. Can you imagine taking them to maybe a place that they weave kente to go and see how it is done, and they can even try their hands on it as an experience. You take them to a place where they take part in their cooking. Maybe they are going to cook gobe and fried plantain, right? And they are going to do it, and all of them are going to join hands together to prepare it together with the local people. That would be such a very emotional, touching experience that many people, especially middle income, upper middle class African Americans, they will pay to have that kind of thing. Maybe you're going to be doing maybe fufu and goat soup or whatever it is. They are part of preparation, not because they want to work or whatever, but they just want to be a part of it to understand their culture, to immerse themselves in the local culture a little bit for 2 weeks and go back. That will be an amazing opportunity. And You can charge anything. I've worked with a package holiday company in UK before. As my travel became, what's the name of it? TUI. Yeah, my travel group, TUI, and then there was another one, Thomas Cook, right? They all package holidays. That's how they themed the holidays, and that could even be a bigger slice of the pie, you know. Then the other one would be our brothers and sisters who are in the tech area can build a tech layer here, whereby you have a mobile app, and then that mobile app, basically, is a fixer app. The fixer app typically the diasporans before they even land, they can pay for a package that hey, when I arrive at the airport, so the package is this. Um, the app will have connections with taxi companies and what have you. The app will have connection with the telecoms companies. The app will have connection with forex bureaus around and event centers, and pre-package their services into the app and or bundle them into the app. So basically, the aspirant pays whatever it is. Maybe the package is, let's say, $200. Pay $200 includes picking them up from the airport to their hotel, getting them a SIM card, taking them to the most secure and best place that they can get the greatest rates to change their money. I get them some event tickets. Maybe they are coming for an event. I arrange for all of that. So by the time they come, they don't have any stress. They just go into their hotel rooms, go and rest, and the next day start whatever they want to do. That it's something somebody can do easily to help them make some really good money, right? So let's look at the incentives. The incentive is huge as well here. So there's the incentive here is that when you spend money for those who are going to be building the lodges and the hotels, especially in these places outside Accra, near heritage sites and those kind of things, when you spend money, long lasting capital expenditure like hotel beds, generators, or solar panels, the government lets you subtract 20% of that cost. 20% of that cost from the taxes that you would normally pay. So you're going to deduct that, right? And it's going to last for 15 years. So the next 15 years, anytime you buy any capital expenditure, you're able to deduct 20% of that from your tax bill. That is good, right? And then bringing in things like commercial kitchens and ovens and things, you also have import duty waiver on them. You don't pay the usual import taxes at the port for importing things into your importing air conditioners, importing kitchen set, commercial kitchen set, importing furniture, very expensive furniture, expensive chandeliers and things. Import duty, zero. Okay, and the other one is Ghana Tourism Authority's new tourism SME grants of up to 400,000 Ghana cedis for digital marketing. So it's a new thing that they are introducing to help businesses in the tourism sector to be able to market themselves on global platforms. So whether you need to get listed on some of these major distribution platforms for hotel rooms or whatever it is, I think that comes in very handy. I don't know how they are going to be able to how they are going to apportion that. I don't know the mathematics behind that. Who gets what? Who gets? It could be anywhere from anybody getting from 1,000 cedis to 400,000 cedis. Depends. So you may have to contact Ghana Tourism Authority to get finished with more details on that. So that's an incentive. Then the final one is that in 2026, it's planned that it's likely that Ghana will issue a bond, a diaspora bond, specifically targeting the tourism sector. Tourism sector. So what it's going to do, what that means is diasporans, I don't know that even that, whether that's a word or not, diasporans are going to be leaned upon to invest part of their money in the tourism industry. And how these kind of bonds are structured bonds is basically the government of Ghana borrowing from diasporans. And typically, the interest rates are not going to be at commercial value or at the level of commercial loans. It's going to be something lower, but it's also going to convey purpose, because guess what? If I'm a diasporan and I'm contributing towards tourism back home, and potentially my friends, my family abroad, who may not necessarily be Ghanaians or Africans, and they may want to visit, and if they may want to visit, and there isn't that much infrastructure base in terms of tourism or hotel infrastructure, or things that would make them feel comfortable and at home and safe and secure, that may not be very good. The diasporans themselves are incentivized to play a role to make that the tourism industry better. The government is in the works. They are in the works. They are talking about it to do something like that, so that it provides a pot of money that is more of a cheaper loan that they would end up giving over to tourism sector entrepreneurs to be able to build the hotel rooms that are needed, the tourist attractions that are needed, the package holidays that are needed, and a whole lot. So that is the incentives for this particular business opportunity option, right? Obviously, there are going to be risks, and the main risk here is going to be foreign currency leakages and instability. But if your investment permits you to charge in foreign currency, God bless you. But in most cases, you may have to just peg your pricing, make it flexible and dynamic, so that as the FX rate moves, then your pricing also moves. But thankfully, the city has been relatively stable at this time around. I think that risk can be hedged, basically. Then there's also the problem with seasonal demand spikes, particularly in December, where a lot of diasporans visit, uh, to basically come and enjoy themselves, bring their family, just connect to the motherland, basically. But to me, that is really not a risk because of two things. One is, if you have these investments, you can actually diversify with MICE and wellness retreats. And MICE as an option, as a tourism option, is basically meetings, conferences, events, things like that. So like business meetings, you can have a way whereby, yes, you have the 30 to 60 bed hotel, but you may have a conference room that you can sell it to businesses and organizations during your downtime, so that businesses can come and have their conferences at your facility to make up for the losses from the diaspora world. Yes, the revenue per head for the diaspora will be higher than the revenue per head for the local business owner, but it's revenue anyways. So that, I think, is a good thing. Plus, the other thing that most people don't think about, or most people don't wrap their minds around, is, culturally speaking, in Ghana, as far as I'm aware, most working professionals, particularly those who are like over 40 and up, maybe even over 30, let me put it that way. Most people spend their weekends going to funerals on Saturdays, or sometimes Fridays, Saturdays, and Sundays, returning on Monday morning for funerals. And if you are not very careful and you live in Africa or Ghana or any of these places with that heavy funeral culture, or 3 days funeral culture, you will be on the road every weekend. It's very likely, especially if you have a very large social circle, because what happens is that most funerals are held in the hometown of the deceased. So if somebody is in Accra and their hometown is in Volta region or any of the other regions, they drive all the way there to go and do the funeral service, the burial, and the Thanksgiving service. So that is also a business boom for local hotels in those areas. So that's why I was saying that your hotel may not necessarily have to be in Kumasi or Cape Coast. It could be just these kind of secondary towns that have some kind of cultural elements to it. And then you do it well, have internet there, some good meals, good sightseeing activity around, and you'll be home and dry. You'll be fine. So basically, if diasporan traffic is not coming in, you get traffic from those who are attending social events like funerals, and then MICE events and wellness retreats. Okay, so that brings us to the quick start. The quick start is very simple. Ghana Tourism Authority has a one-stop investor desk. Visit their website, visit them, call them, speak to them to expose the whole shebang to you. That's the first one. The second thing is that partner with diaspora influencers. So if you partner with guys like Wodemaya and those people, they and you have very well packaged product or services, I think they probably may listen to you and promote it for you at a fee, of course. Then you also consider, because you're going to be given a grant, or you may qualify for a grant under the GTA's new GTA digital marketing program. You can list your packages on Google's new things to do, and Airbnb experiences platform, plus a whole lot of others, booking.com, I think Hotwire, many more. And all these things would help garner your business, right? All right, so we're now moving to opportunity number 5, which is also a very interesting one. So let's take a quick look at that. So opportunity on number 5 is digital business process outsourcing and 24-hour tech hubs. This is very, very important. Why? Why is it an opportunity, and why is it that the government is interested in it? Remember, the government wants to create a 24-hour economy. So this lends itself perfectly, fits perfectly to the government's idea, government's desire for Ghana to have a 24/7. So what is the history behind it? The global business process outsourcing industry that is values at about $525 billion. And actually, let me correct that. So the business economy, right? The big part of it for English language call centers and data labeling and blah blah blah. All these are valued at $525 billion. Of this $525 billion, Africa only gets 2% of it. And I'm thinking most of these dollars get to places like Philippines, India, Pakistan, Bangladesh, Sri Lanka, a few others, and Latin America as well, Argentina, Colombia, and those places. And Mexico also gets a good chunk of that cash for business process outsourcing, right? And some of these, there are African countries like Ghana they are highly proficient in the English language, super highly proficient. So there is no reason why Ghana should not target a piece of this cake. It's a must. And there is an organization in Ghana, right, which is the Business Outsourcing Association of Ghana. They say that their target is to get 1 million jobs by the year 2030. 1 million jobs by the year 2030, right? And that is outsourced jobs coming into Ghana by the year. That's the goal. That's a very lofty goal. That's a very plausible goal. And I think it is doable if it is done very well. So, and that is where you come in as an entrepreneur, as a business owner, as an investor. That's where you come in. So to help do that, to help really drill into that and knock that in the park, there's an organization, a private tech company called IDEC, which is like the market leader in that. I think they are the leader in business process outsourcing. They just built up a new facility that can take up to 2,000 seats. So if you're running 24/7 and you have 2,000 seats and you're running two shifts, that's like 4,000 seats basically. So 2,000 seats, but their utilization is just 30%. You only occupy 30% of that. So what that means? What does that mean? To me, what that means is that they are open for other businesses, particularly in Accra, other startups, to come in to rent spaces from them. And why is that? Renting spaces from them very, very good for this, because they put together the call center facility for customer support and all those kind of things. But sometimes the demand on them may be too much that they may want to offload some of this demand to smaller startups or smaller groups. So let's say if you have trained, let's say 50 to 100 young people with maybe basic customer support skills, maybe basic data entry skills that are needed by clients. These IDEC people can offload some of their projects to you, especially when they are very, very busy. And that also gives you the experience, the that also gives you the ability to have like the social proof that you can also, as a small startup, you can also deliver outsourcing projects for bigger, better clients. And so you can go out there, use the gigs that you are getting from IDEC to be able to bid for your own projects outside, because the world is everybody's oyster. The world is everybody's market, basically. So that is an opportunity that just sublease seats at IDEC, especially if you're in Accra, do that. If not in Accra, the other thing to do is get microsite. Do what IDEC is doing in Accra, in Kumasi, Takrade, those kind of areas that are really fast growing, with a lot of young people who are coming out of universities, right? You create something within, let's say, 50 to 100, 150 seats. That costs, say, $300 per seat. Basically, is the laptop or the desktop that they will need, and then the headset that they would use, and maybe a software here and there that you use. Typically, less than $300 as a setup per desk. That's their cost of investment. Then you are ready to do business. That is it. Then you could also set up specialized data factories. These are like AI annotation. These are AI annotation setups. And what that means is that most of these new AI models need to be trained. And in the training, for instance, I pick up, let's say, let me pick this. I pick up this and I show it to a camera. I'm training the AI. AI, what is this? Right? I'm just making this up, right? So I pick up the phone, and then I say, AI, this is an iPhone, right? This is an iPhone. And then the AI stores that, it learns that. I pick another thing, this is my stylus pen, and I show it what it is, and then it learns that. I picked it, another thing, this is a storage drive, these kind of things. So it's quite boring, mundane tasks that most of the time those in developed world, they don't want to do that because it's low skill, low pay job. And Ghana will be more than happy to grab those jobs for its youth who are ultra hungry, skillful too, right? And can speak very good English as well. There are other opportunities in medical coding as well. So typically in the developed world, doctors, their jobs to take care of patients, not to be typing whilst taking care of patients. So they typically would record conversation between doctors, the doctor and the patient, and then the BPO outsourcer will transcribe it and then allocates the correct billing code so that the insurance company will pay. So all these are opportunities that pertain within this bigger umbrella of business process outsourcing, right? There's even opportunity to run back office services for diasporans who are running Etsy stores and all those kind of things. So all these become powerful opportunities available for investors looking to jump into mega opportunities in Ghana. We got a beloved Ghana. Let me put it that way. All right. So let's look at the incentives. The incentives are very lucrative here too. So Development Bank and IFC. The IFC is a branch or a sub branch of the World Bank Group, right? And they have a $75 million pot of money they've set aside as credit line for Ghana, right? So for companies in Ghana. So what are the details of it? The details of it is that this, if you are going to get into the business process outsourcing line, particularly in the ICT line, you could apply to get, it's going to give you a credit line for 10 years. And all you pay is you pay 8% interest rate. Whereas in Ghana, banks will typically charge anywhere from 20% and up. But you pay 8% interest rate on that loan for 10 years. And you can borrow out of this pot of $75 million. So that is funding that is available. And it's an IFC facility being managed by the Development Bank of. So you may have to reach out to the Development Bank. I'll put all those links, those websites within the description so that you can take action immediately. Secondly, if this is the second pick, if you are going to be housed at Accra Digital Center, which is a very large facility that the government put together several years ago, probably close to 10 years now, for startups, typically like the business. It's almost like the kind of business that is. It reminds me of the company called WeWork. It's where they provide office spaces for startups. Basically, that's what it's a WeWork for Ghana, but it's a government-owned initiative run, managed by government. So you get there, you get access to free fiber, high-speed fiber internet. You're going to get that for free, right? Then they are also going to give you a tax holiday, a 10-year tax holiday. To me, that is what excites me. 10-year tax holiday. If your receipts or your revenue, 80% of your revenue comes from Forex, or that comes from outside Ghana, right? So that means you're offering ICT services to outsource services to clients who are outside Ghana, and you are being paid in USD or euros or pound sterling or whatever currency, but your client base must be outside of Ghana. If you get that, you are going to have a 10-year tax break, right? If your revenue exceeds 80%. Okay. Then the last but not the least is the association, the Business Outsourcing Association of Ghana provides support, basically helping you find the right people, recruitment, and even payroll pooling as well. So the opportunities are immense, right? They're immense. All right, so let's look at the risks that you could potentially run into. The risks are simple. Attrition. These are entry-level positions. Typically, you're going to find students filling them, and with time, students, they graduate, they leave. They leave town, they sometimes even travel outside the country to pursue advanced studies. Sometimes they get better jobs, they just move, right? So it's something that you need to look at. But Ghana has a national service scheme that you could also look into to partner with Ghana's national service, which is a mandatory 1-year service that everyone who has completed college needs to serve in the country. So you can tap into that as well to hedge your risk. The other one is compliance with data protection, because some of these contracts may be wrapped under very serious data protection, what do you call it, contracts that you can, for instance, handling medical records, you have to be certified to be able to comply with all these data protection, patient records, protection, and all those kind of things. So you need to know what you're doing before you get into some of those kind of niches or some of these sub niches within the business process outsourcing environment. And the third one, which is not on the screen, is to me the biggest risk because of the advent of AI, generative AI is great, but we are now moving into agentic AI. And in as much as generative AI is great, it poses even some risk. But now that we've basically moved, or almost at the verge of entering into full-scale head-blown agentic AI, it presents a challenge there, because some of the companies that will outsource their services outside are now investing heavily in creating or building AI agents or swarms of agents. You have agents that can respond to customer service calls 24/7, and they are cheap. They are cheap to run. They never fall sick. They don't need holidays. So companies are investing heavily in that. So I know some companies that are doing hybrid or they are running parallel programs, but once their agents kick in and the agents are having tremendous success rates, they are going to gradually turn off the faucet on outsource engagements. That is one thing that to me is the biggest risk here. But obviously, there's definitely going to be a ton of work that humans are going to be doing. And there's going to be a ton of work that the humans that are doing them in the developed world would think that they don't have to do that, or they wouldn't want to do that because it's just mundane manual work. That sits very well with the youth of Ghana, and that they will be able to do. All right. So basically, brings us to our quick start guide. So our quick start guide here is very simple. Secure seats in Accra or Kumasi digital centers, right? Where you'll be able to get a free internet, you'll be able to get the tax relief, right? After the 80% threshold, you'll be 80% revenue threshold from outside Ghana. You'll be able to do that, right? And join the association, the business outsourcing association. They have a client matching program and everything. They can help you get this whole thing done. So join them, contact them, get more information from them if this is a line, this is an option that excites you. And frankly, whilst we are at it, I want you to tell me in the links which of the opportunities we've discussed excite you and which are the ones that you are likely to start. For me, what excites me the most is option number 3, the automotive parts manufacturing. To me, that excites me. But I want to see what really excites you. Put that in a comment. All right. So then finally, you can apply to the Development Bank Stroke IFC credit line that and it says that one you need to have some kind of 3-year projection and at least one SLA, service level agreement with a client. Once you are able to have that, I think they'll be happy to talk to you to help you with the financing piece. Okay, so this brings us to the last opportunity, number 6. That is renewable cold chain for horticulture and farmer. Right, so let's break it down. So what happens is in Ghana, when farmers produce their crops and they get harvested, for instance, tomato, eggplants, corn, whatever it is, and they get harvested. Currently, because of inadequate cold room facilities available to store these kind of products, 35% of these harvested products gets rotten or gets spoiled or gets thrown away. 35%, right? So what government is putting in place, or government is looking for business owners, entrepreneurs to jump into this place to help reduce this from 35% to under 10%. And this is the reason why Ghana alone loses close to 140 million US dollars every year worth of perishable spoilage, perishable goods. I mean, food that farmers have busted their backs and done everything, worked so hard to plant, to nurture, and then harvest. Then all of a sudden, during harvest, these products, there's waste, there are losses, they are rotten, all because of the heat. they can't be transported in a way that is conducive for the product. So, for instance, for tomato, you want to harvest your tomato and bring it to the main town center. Within 5 days, it will get rotten after harvest. So you need to sell it very fast. So sometimes these fast are given a raw deal by middlemen and these supermarkets and things because they know that if they don't buy, they are screwed because it's going to be rotten. So this is where the government needs players in this space of post-harvest cold chains, whereby because that technology is able to extend the shelf life from 5 days, 21 days. So in that 21-day period, the farmer can at least rest a little bit. The farmer can have leverage so that they are not cheated by the buyers or cheated by whoever by plants and manufacturers and those kind of things. They are not at their mercy because they have a wiggle room. They can wait. They can wait a little bit longer, find a good buyer, a best buyer. And then, most importantly, the crops, the spoilage is reduced drastically, at least 3 times reduction. And that's what the government wants. So at the moment, there are companies like AcoFresh, right? So because as you can see here, there are companies like AcoFresh. Let me bring it back. Okay, so companies like AcoFresh, I'll bring my clicker, that does this to a very good degree. And then not only that, there are also incentives that I'm going to be talking about. The incentives in this space also, government is very, very interested to get businesses to provide cold logistics to prevent post-harvest losses. Okay, modular cold rooms to prevent, and this is how it works. These modular cold rooms, and okay, so let's jump ahead of ourselves. So let's jump to the entrepreneur entry points. The entrepreneur entry points are very simple. So the first one is 20 meters cube solar powered micro cold rooms. So these are like shipping containers with solar panels at the top of them. And when you open them, they are full-blown refrigerators that you can walk through with crates. And they also have software to manage what is in what crate, right? So the investment, the opportunities are to me, there are 3. The biggest one is having modules. That means that if it's like container or if it looks like a shipping container, that means there can be modules. That means you can have different number of containers all bundled together. So you can have one stack on top of the other, or one arranged in a grid form, in a modular form. You can have, let's say, 6 containers. That becomes your investment. That becomes your cold chain solution for the agriculture industry. So that is that. Then there is the 3PL reefer tracks. These are a step below the 20 meters cube solar micro cold rooms. So what that does is that the basically farmers would rent a space. Typically, the overarching theme here is farmers rent a space or rent a crate and put their produce within the crate, and then they pay as you go. The pay as you go software, pay as you go per crate per day. So if it's 4 cedis per crate per day, that's what the farmers pay. The farmers can pay, if they know they are going to store it for 21 days, they just pay 21 days. I've rented 6 crates. That's it. They can go to bed for the next 21 days. Their goods are safe. Okay? So that's that. And then for the next one, which is the trikes, the reefer trikes. These are like motor trikes or tricycles that have got insulated chilled boxes mounted, whether inside them or at the back of them. Chill boxes mounted in them that deliver fruits and fresh produce to the markets and supermarkets. So basically, it's a last mile. So after the trucks transport them from wherever they are to almost at the distribution where they need to get to, the last mile, they need these reefer trucks to just keep produce fresh, right? So these are that. So they will be helpful with supermarket supplies, be helpful with, and even in the pharmaceutical industries, they will be helpful also in moving products from pharmacies to hospitals or clinics. Very, very important because there are certain medications that needs to be kept at certain temperature levels before they are used in humans. Else, it's going to be a problem. All these kind of things, these three-wheel reefer trikes are going to be super, super, super needful according to the government's project. And what one of the things that you need for something like that is to install some kind of a GPS temperature tracker everywhere, so that even as they are moving around or as cargo is moving around in the city and everything, the temperature for the products can still be monitored at a centralized location. So I know you get it. I know you get that. Then the last one is the hub and spoke pack house for the export of mangoes. It can also be used to export other things where you have a hub or a big hub. You have a hub near the farm, okay, very close to very close to the farm. That washes the mangoes, grates the mangoes, chills and boxes the mangoes. So it's like you have a system that provides that service. So you have that hub in there close to mango plantations, and then you first of all have a system that washes them after they are harvested, grates them, chills them, and box them, the mangoes. And then you offer that as a service. You can charge per pallet, you can charge the whatever means that you want to. Or you can lease pallets, and their options are many, but that's the concept. The concept is having a way to help the farmers to make sure that their produce are packaged well handled, well graded, and refrigerated. Okay. So basically, that is it. So let's look at the packages. And in terms of investment, is this something I've not mentioned in a while? So in terms of investment, getting one single 20 meters cube solar micro cold room maybe could set you up like $18,000 or between $15,000 to $18,000 together with the software and everything. Break-even point can be as little as 2 years. As little as 2 years, you get your money back and everything else is ice cream on top. That's it. The second one with an investment of say $8,000, between $5,000 to $8,000, that one too is very lucrative. That one you can have a fleet of them like they call the tricycles in Ghana, aboboya and things. So you can have a fleet of these that are refrigerated aboboyas, right? I haven't seen them in town that much, but you can think about that and then have that as a business. So if one is anywhere between $5,000 and $6,000, whatever it is, and you have like 10 of them, you have a massive cold chain business, a last mile cold chain business that supermarkets would love you for. Right? They would love you for that, right? And that will pay for itself very, very quickly in less than 2 years, like 18 months. You can get your money back, and that is cool, right? So let's look at the next. Actually, hub and spoke also. That one will require a little bit more investment. That's talking about like $300,000 to set up all those big hubs that you use to process mangoes, wash them, clean them, grade them, refrigerate them. That requires a little bit heavier investment, but overall, it will pay for itself in a short number of years, plus government incentives and tax breaks and what have you. Okay, so let's look at the incentives. I like these incentives. Okay, I like these incentives. So let me sit well and then look at the incentives. So the first set of incentive is let's see. I'm just quickly looking at it. Okay. The first sort of incentives is 0% import duty on solar panels and reefer equipment. And there's a parliamentary act already, 2011 already there, uh, in place. So if you import solar panels for the refrigerator trucks and the reefer equipment, it is 0% import duty you pay. 0%. All right. So apart from the so the apart from the 0% import duty on the solar panels and the components for the solar cold room units, there is also another incentive here that I wanted to point out for you. That is this one, Exim and Grisel, right? What they are saying is that they will de-risk every form of borrowing um, for for the purpose of entering into this type of business. What that means is that Exim Bank, that's the export import bank of Ghana, and then GESA, which is a crop insurance scheme, right? They promise to cover part of a bank's loss if a farmer's cold room owner can't repay. So if, let's say, you go and take a loan to put together these cold rooms or cold installations, and for some strange reason something happens, you can't repay, Exim Bank together with GESA will sort of are going to underpin, are going to say, hey, you can't repay. Okay, we are going to help the bank, or we are going to pay some of the debt of your, or we are going to service the part of the debt that you owe the bank. What that does is that it makes it easier to access loans at lower interest rates. Why? Because the banks feels it is less riskier loaning to you, setting up such a business. Right. So if you are an entrepreneur, and this is where you are entering, it makes it easier for banks to lend you money, because the Exim Bank and GESA are vouching that should in case something go wrong, they will pay up a large chunk of the loan of the loan that you have borrowed from the bank. So that makes it super 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 lucrative for banks to do that. And also, they're doing that. Why? Because more cold rooms mean less waste across the country. And as you saw, the waste was what? 740 million. That's it. 740 million. So 740 million could put up, as I said, a whole bunch of hospitals, a whole bunch of schools for Ghanaian children to go. Right. Then the next one, that actually that is the guarantee. GESA guarantees covers 50% of bank loan principal for agri logistics. So 50% of the bank loan principal, they will guarantee that. They will cover it for the bank. So in case something happens and it can't be paid. So the main risk here is for these mobile units. Yes, they could be theft, not just theft of the units, but they could be theft of the produce within the crates that the farmer has given to you. So you put in things like Internet of Things monitoring, that that is round the clock monitoring of the crates and everything, to make sure that what people came to deliver or what people came to refrigerate, they are there. It's not like a farmer comes to put in 15 crates of fresh produce and then they come to pick them up and it's 6 left. No, that will not work. So that's part of the risk, but you can use technology to keep an eye on them. And then there are parts, tariff changes could also affect certain important components like compressors and things. But that, I don't think is a big risk enough. I don't think it's a very heavy risk. So it's something that you could look into if you are interested in this, right? Okay, so the final bit is the quick start. I've always ended with quick start for every opportunity. So the first thing you do is to schedule a feasibility with FreezeLink. FreezeLink is actually a tech company or a tech startup, right? That is, I think it's what's the name of 3PL? It's like a logistics kind of aggregation platform for these cold storage facilities, like a marketplace. So if I'm a farmer and I need somewhere to store my grain or somewhere to store my produce or whatever it is, I go on the FreezeLink website or whatever it is and request that, hey, I have this produce here. I want to get a cold facility here. Can you link me up? And they do that kind of linking up. So basically, they are a distribution platform or a marketplace, a distribution marketplace platform that connects farmers with cold storage or cold logistics facilities across the country. So if you are going to set up a cold logistics business, it's best to also be under their radar, to be on their platform, so that by the time you finish, you set up everything, you immediately have access to clients or customers. And that's it. So schedule a feasibility. They will come and inspect your facility before I think they will put you on their platform. So that's one thing to do. Then the other one is you apply to get SAL guarantee through your participation bank. That's if you want to go for the loans for this, then you need to also contact GetSal as well to be able to do that. I'll get all their links and I'll put all their websites and I'll put them in the description so that you have access to all of them. Then finally, engage Exporters Association. Team up with them. There's Exporters Association of Ghana. Engage with them, for offtake before you order your equipment to actually before you even start your business. Yes, you can use FreezeLink and all those kind of platforms, but sometimes you may need to do deals by yourself. And talking to the Exporters Association, it is be able to know, okay, which type of code logistics do I set up and where and what is needed. They will tell you because they need that kind of service. They for instance, the exporter who needs to export mangoes to Europe, they need what type of service they need. They need to know you, basically. And once they know you, they become your customer. Right? So begin to engage with those people. And I think that, my friend, we've come to the end of our episode. Anyway, if you haven't heard it, I want you to download the African Advantage, Cultural Insights for Market Entry into Africa. That is, a lot of businesses make tremendous mistakes when they are entering into Africa, particularly foreign investors. They don't understand the culture. They don't understand the nuances. Even local businesses that are looking to expand into other African countries. So they make mistakes because the culture in West Africa is different from that of East Africa. And you need to know all the nuances. Be able to know all the nuances. So we put together a report that helps you to be able to map out, okay, what is the do's and don'ts here? How is West Africa different from East Africa? How is East Africa different from Central Africa or Northern Africa or Southern Africa? Most people don't know. And we put together that resource free of charge that you can get through the description. There's a link there, or you can scan the QR code on this screen, and then you get that report for free. All right. Thank you so much. And hey, if you want content like this, I want you to subscribe. And most importantly, I want you to also tell me which of these 6 opportunities excites you the most. Mine is number 3, but I want to know which one. Just tell me which number is your best bet. I want you to put that in the comments. Thank you so much and see you.